First up, President John Mahama says after years of economic turbulence marked by soaring inflation, a weakened cedi, rising national debt, and a decline in investor confidence, Ghana is finally on the path to recovery. Speaking at the second edition of the Kweu Business Forum, he said that the country is turning the corner, pointing to early signs of macroeconomic stabilization with inflation gradually easing. But he says recovery alone is not enough and that the country must now set its sights higher on transformation.
We're all aware of the challenges our country has faced in recent years: soaring inflation, a weakened cedi, rising debt levels, and a decline in investor confidence. These challenges have weighed heavily on businesses and households alike. But I'm confident, and I say this with sincerity, that we will turn the corner. There are early signs of macroeconomic stabilization. Inflation is gradually easing. The currency is stabilizing, and with disciplined management, we shall restore a measure of confidence in our economy. But ladies and gentlemen, recovery alone is not enough. We must now set our sights higher on transformation of the economy. We must build an economy that is resilient, inclusive, and productive. And this cannot be achieved without a financial sector that works not just for a few, but for every Ghanaian business, from the roadside vendor to the massive industrialist. Our vision for Ghana's future business landscape is bold and deliberate. We're pursuing a targeted program in restoring investor confidence by enhancing transparency, cutting bureaucratic red tape, and promoting a rules-based investment climate. We're prioritizing sectors that can absorb labor and grow our economy sustainably.
Now, Director of Legal Affairs of the new Patriotic Party, Frank Davis, has expressed deep concern over what he describes as the politicization of ongoing processes related to the potential removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. Now, speaking on Newsfile on Joy News, Mr. Davis cautioned that whilst Ghana's constitution makes provisions for the removal of a Chief Justice, the manner in which the issue is being handled risks undermining the country's legal framework and democratic stability.
When decisions are handed in court, we look at the basis of the decisions and make a critique of the decisions. But if, because a Chief Justice has been appointed by a ruling government and decisions are handed, then it means that that Chief Justice is politically inclined. I found no merit in that reasoning. And what is the basis, some of the basis, the things that people have said loudly about why this President CJ should be removed, that they refer to the unanimous decisions in the 2020 presidential election petition. But come on, she wasn't even the Chief Justice at the time. The Chief Justice was Enini Yeboah. She was only a panel member of the constituted bench of the Supreme Court, which heads the petition. So how can you hang that on her and say that because of that she should be removed and that the judiciary should be sanitized? In what way or manner? In any event, we are all students of the law. Some say you're a trained lawyer. I'm a trained lawyer. Inusa is a trained lawyer. Gloria is a trained lawyer. Bobby is a trained lawyer. Fortunately, all of us here are lawyers. Now, maybe people will say I'm speaking from a point of prejudice, but I always speak my mind as a trained lawyer. As I'm saying, I mean, it is not for glorification, but you know my stance on certain discussions we have had, both on radio and privately. And I don't mince words when I know what is happening. Does not sit with me. But
that's right.
But please, let's be cautious. Because if we take a systemic and determined attempt to destroy our institutions of state, it is the country that will suffer. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, we have the legislature. Let us maintain this separate, distinct arms of government and let them all do their work independently.
Now, a young man who attempted to steal a cable at the ECG substation at Aduato in the Ashanti region has lost his life when the cable he was trying to steal electrocuted him. Now, the young man, identified to be in his late 30s, was electrocuted in the early hours of Saturday, we are told, when he attempted to steal an earth wire at the ECG substation near the Metro Mass Transit Station, Greater Kumasi. Now, the incident, which resulted in an outage to a lot of customers within the Greater Kumasi and beyond, is gradually becoming rampant in the Ashanti region. I'm joined by Benjamin Obeng, who is ECG PRO for the Ashanti region. Good afternoon to you, sir. What more can you tell us about this incident? Unfortunately, we have lost Mr. Obeng Entry there. We'll try and re-establish contact with him on this rather worrying story. As you can see, pictures we're receiving from the Aduato substation in Kumasi, where we are told that a suspected cable thief died in the early hours of today. Thankfully, we are joined again by Benjamin Obeng Entry, who is ECG PRO for the Ashanti region. Good afternoon to you, sir. What more can you tell us about this incident?
Good afternoon to you and your cherished listeners as well as viewers. And as Riley said, in the early hours of today, a young man who we believe to be in his late 30s attempted to steal a live cable in our substation yard at Aduato in the Greater Kumasi enclave. And this is something that has been happening recently in the Ashanti region. In fact, it is gaining momentum. And in that same substation, less than 3 months ago, in fact, we had unknown individuals who successfully stole the same cables that this gentleman attempted to steal to the earth. But unfortunately for this gentleman, he was electrocuted this morning and then he lost his life. As we speak, the Ashanti Regional Police Command have been able to convey his body to the mortuary, and then our engineers have been able to restore power supply to affected customers. What happened is that once he tried to steal the cable, he was electrocuted and then he died on the spot. So in order for the police to successfully retrieve him from the ECU network, we had to settle power supply over there. And remember, this affected a lot of people. You are looking at customers around Patriotic Party area, in carriers, the park, even that side, all the way to barricades, that enclave. So you realize that the illegal activities rendered a lot of customers in darkness on this happy Easter as well. So basically, this is what happened at our substation at Aduato this morning.
Yeah, and you tell us that this incidents like this are rampant in your part of the country. How secure are ECG substations across the Ashanti region? Okay,
thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, this incident is not just the first time. In fact, it's one of many incidents in the Ashanti region in recent times. You realize that some individuals vandalizing our transformers. The recent one happened at Edu Central Business District, where they went there to cut some wires, took away some fuse, and then destroyed some of the switches as well, despite the substation being fenced. This substation, the gentleman attempted to throw the cable from. It's a fenced substation, and even in the middle of town. However, this gentleman decided to scale the wall and enter the premises before he was able to do that. So in terms of safety, ECG will be able to fence most of our substations. However, these unknown individuals tend to destroy the gate, destroy the wall. Even the one that happened at Edu in recent times, they destroyed the metal gate as well as destroying the fenced walls as well. As we speak, we've come out with a new design to fence our substation. Even aside that, people also destroy our cables, third parties as well. They puncture the cables. Even unknown chainsaw operators, they fell trees onto our network and to end up destroying our poles, our conductors that we use to distribute power supply to our church. Whenever this incident happens, in fact, power supply is curtailed to affected customers. So though ECG, we are unable to serve customers when this incident happens, you look at the social aspect of it as well. Imagine there are hospitals in the enclave. How would they operate on maybe individuals at the theater or even normal sick patients at the hospital rooms? How would they go to check up on them? Because they need power supply to check on these patients. Students who need power supply to study as well. People who even need power to pump water in their residence. How would they? So this incident has ripple effects, not just on ECG, but even on our individual customers, talking of economic impact as well as social impact as well. So we humbly appeal to the general public to help us curb this mess, but we cannot fight this alone. What we want our church customers to know is that, first of all, ECG engineers do not work in isolation, like they do not work alone. You will never see an ECG engineer climbing pool alone, no. They move in teams. So when you see an individual alone working around any ECG installation, be it a transformer, a substation, climbing a pool, kindly question the person. Also, all ECG technicians have their ID card. Just because they are closer to an electrical installation, they only keep it in their vehicle. That's why you see the ECG branded vehicle over there. So when you see the individual electric, demand the person's ID card. And when you find anything suspicious, kindly report to the nearest police station or report to the nearest ECG district office. In fact, you can even contact the ECG National Contact Center on 0302 611 612 because it's a dual responsibility between ECG and our cherished customers. So let us come together to help protect ECG installations because once ECG is a state-owned entity, it means every asset of ECG belongs to every Ghanaian. So let us come together and then protect to individuals, in fact, to the general public, especially individuals engaged in these illegal acts. In fact, we humbly appeal to all of you to desist from this. But then as much as it causes outage and then it becomes a financial loss to ECG, it can lead to the loss of lives, as we saw in the case of this morning as well. So in fact, let us come together and help protect ECG installations.
Yeah, a pretty unfortunate incident there. Maybe my last question, are you having to rethink the security setup at your substations? I know there have been efforts to, sort of fence the areas, but what else can be done to improve security in those areas?
Yes, so we've liaised with the Regional Security Coordinating Council in Ashanti region and together with the NIB. So most of these CCTV cameras that have been installed in town, in fact, we've requested some of these footage. They've also liaised to direct some of these cameras to areas where we have critical installations like the substations, the box supply points, and even some high-capacity transformers as well. We've also decided to change the design that we use to fence our substation because we've realized that despite we fencing, some of them are able to scale over the wall. They're able to even destroy these metallic gates that we put at the entrance of it. But for that details, I cannot share for security reasons because these individuals might be listening. They might also try to adjust their strategies. But what we want the general public to do is that they should help us because ECG cannot be everywhere. We work in your communities, but you live in your communities. Let us own ECG installations also. You see, sometimes also when these incidents happen, for example, the recent one that I mentioned that some individuals fell a tree onto a network. When you get to the community, you realize that there are about 2 or 3, in fact, very few chainsaw operators there. But they pretend as if they know nothing. The community is not willing to give out the individual who did that. So we humbly appeal to the general public that in such instances, kindly release the individual. But when you see any chainsaw operator or anybody working closer to our network, kindly alert the ECG. Because once these installations are damaged or vandalized, power supply will be curtailed and to affect social livelihood as well as economic livelihood. So we humbly appeal to you. We need your support.
All right, Benjamin Obeng Entry, Ashanti Regional PRO of the ECG, thank you so much for speaking with us. Unfortunate incident there, but good to hear that power has been restored to affected areas. At least people can enjoy their Easter celebrations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Robin.
All right, we'll still stay in the Ashanti region because the Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Davis, has revealed that discussions are currently underway to relocate the Kumasi Central prisons. The move forms part of a broader effort to decongest both the city and the overcrowded prison facility. This follows a recent visit by the Minister for Interior, Muntaka Mubarak, during which the extent of congestion and related health challenges at the prison were brought to light. Built to accommodate 500 inmates, the Kumasi Central Prisons is now holding over 1,700 inmates. Dr. Davis confirmed that while the matter has not yet been officially tabled before the President, initial conversations have already begun.
Thankfully, before today, the Honorable Interior Minister was here. We held an extensive discussion on some of the challenges as faced by inmates and prison officers here at the Kumasi Central Prison and also as a region. We discussed, among others, plans to be able to decongest the prison, which is key in making sure that we provide a very conducive environment for your work. Additional things that have come up is a possible relocation of the central prisons so that we can have adequate land space and be able to, as it were, free the city and be able to, as it were, decongest the central prisons. These discussions are still ongoing, and His Excellency the President definitely would have a say on that, and we'll be sure what we want to do so far as the central prisons are concerned.
Well, another unfortunate story to report this afternoon. A devastating fire swept through Madina Redco flats late last night, destroying over 150 structures and claiming the life of a young woman, we are told. The blaze, which broke out around 11:15 p.m., ravaged 140 wooden homes and 20 metal containers used for both residential and commercial purposes. Firefighters from the Madina fire station arrived quickly, joined by teams from Adenta, Legon, Obeng, and the fire service headquarters. Despite their swift response, the fire had already spread extensively. The firefighters managed to contain the blaze by around midnight and fully extinguished by 2:22 a.m. You're seeing shots there of that incident that happened late last night. We are joined on phone by Head of Public Relations of the Ghana National Fire Service, DO2 Desmond Aka. Good afternoon to you, sir. Tell us a bit more about what happened last night.
Well, good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers. We are never happy when such incidents lead to tragic loss, such as we witnessed last night. Per our preliminary findings, eyewitnesses say the fire started around 10:50 p.m. last night, but the fire call came to us later on around 11:15 p.m. And if you know the terrain very well, you would realize that the Madina fire station is just a stone throw from that area. So within 2 minutes, we got to the scene. But because of the late caller, we got to the scene only to meet the fire at an advanced stage. That is, it has spread to wider areas. And looking at the dangers that were involved, we had to also call in our stakeholders from the UTG to come and isolate power within that particular space to enable us to work and to avoid possible electrocution of our men. So we overcame that challenge, and with the assistance of 4 other appliances and the strategy that we adopted, we were able to confine the fire by around midnight. And by 2:26, we had fully contained the situation. But unfortunately, one lady we understand was brought to that particular place barely 3 days ago, and who was also asleep at the time of the fire, and because he barely knew there, could not navigate her way out of the fire, and unfortunately got trapped and got burnt. So we had to gather her remains and then hand it over to the Madina police for preservation and further investigation. And we want to wish the bereaved family call it our condolences, and pray that this incident never happened to take away another life. But Darrell, you would also agree with me that this is not the first time fire has gathered that particular space. So I believe it is high time the assembly responsible for that area, I understand it's La Quantana, Madina and Quantana also, which is responsible for that area, should take the bold step to relocate these slum dwellers so that we wouldn't have the cause to have a repeated incident where another person could also be lost. We don't want to experience that. And that place, because of how the structures are closely knit and illegal wiring connection being right there, it tends to increase the risk of fires around that space. So if they are relocated, or if that place is properly planned in such a way that the structures are erected with enough buffer between them, it will help to curtail even the spread of fire. And then also, we would also want to advise that we have to also be each other's keeper. You know, for somebody to have come in barely 3 days, meaning that she will find it a bit difficult to navigate her way out. And therefore, if she had had people closer to her, I believe they could have guided her and then directed her to safety rather than what we experienced. So our emergency numbers remain 112. So in case there is any fire or any other life-threatening emergency, people should stop thanking us, but rather make use of our emergency line. Call us on time so that we can also respond on time. If they had called us earlier, a bit earlier, I believe that the devastation that we have witnessed there wouldn't have occurred. We lost 140 wooden structures and their content, as well as 20 metal containers. If we had been called a bit earlier, I believe we would have come in earlier to save a lot more of these properties. But thanks to the other firefighters for standing up and then living up to the billing this time by saving over 200 structures, including the Redco flat. I mean, that is the kind of dedication that we always live up to, and for which we want to plead with Ghanaians to support us at any available given chance by way of adhering to basic fire safety protocols, so that together we can nip all these avoidable, preventable fires in the bud, because we're not expecting that on Good Friday night to experience such a devastating fire. So going forward, if we are all able to join in the fight against preventable fires, we'll be able to put the required measures, safety measures in place, so that we wouldn't have to be talking about this kind of fire.
Yeah, very devastating indeed. And like you mentioned, there's one too many fires happening in that part of the country, Madina Redco. I may have missed it. I just wanted to find out. I know investigations may have started. Do we know the cause of the fire?
Yes, so for now, investigators a while ago were at the scene just to locate the origin of the fire. Once the origin is located, it becomes a bit more easier for us to look at the other factors that could lead to this particular fire. So once they are able to conclude on their investigation, I believe that we'll be in a position to share them with your cherished listeners and viewers as well.
Yeah, and well, Easter festivities are ongoing, so I just want you to seize the moment and maybe speak to our audience, whatever tips there are to share with people who are watching, so they are safe from fire incidents such as what we are seeing on our screens right now.
Yes, so festive seasons like Easter also presents itself the opportunity for us to do some assessment on our electrical wiring. This is the time that we need to contract the engineers, the professionals, the certified electricians to help us to know the integrity of our wiring connections in our premises. Once they are able to come in with their gadgets, test the electrical installation and their standard, I mean, it helps us and it positions us to kind of be cautious with the use of electrical wiring, electrical equipment and its usage, so that we can afloat and prevent fires from that particular area. And then also, it is also time for us to kind of help, especially when it comes to the use of gas cooking apparatus. This is the time we need to check on our gas stoves and prevent possible leakages. Send them to the filling point for the technicians to check on the valves, the regulators, and if they are not in good standing, they change them for us. And then we should avoid tendencies of asking the fuel pump attendants and then the gas attendants to overfill or to fill our cylinders to the brim. We are ever committed. Our people or our men have been deployed to the various commercial centers, event centers, just to ensure that they go about to check on the safety compliance of these premises, so that any unforeseen hazards and risks that could be identified would be dealt with as soon as possible. So our doors are always open. If you need us to come and then help you with any kind of safety training, why not? The assurance is that we are ever ready 24/7 to also respond to your emergencies should they happen. So let us all keep safety consciousness and ensure that we keep these fires at bay.
All right, DO2 Desmond Aka, Head of Public Relations, Ghana National Fire Service, appreciate the tips and all the work the fire service is doing, especially during these Easter festivities. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, on to another worrying situation in the Upper West region. A roaring windstorm accompanied by half an hour torrential rain destroyed several properties in the One municipality. The ferocious windstorm crumbled trees that are over centuries old and crashed into them. Restaurants, schools, children recreational centers were affected by this. There's more in this report by our regional correspondent, Rafiq Salam.
Appears to be a carbon copy of the previous one on March 13. The level of destruction of this current storm is more devastating and heart-wrenching. Jaded trees that are over a century old crumbled, crushed, and battered container shops and restaurants, leaving owners helpless. The weak mahogany tree close by the dining delicacies restaurant crashed into it and trapped 9 workers and customers inside it. They managed to escape.
We saw the clouds had formed for the rain, which was accompanied by heavy winds. We asked the workers to bring all our belongings inside the restaurant. All of a sudden, I heard a deep, loud sound. One of our customers was trapped inside the restaurant. She cried for help, and we managed to rescue her.
Owner of the local Distress and Pastoralist restaurant, Hajia Latifa Hamza, stated that they have written a letter to the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, drawing their attention to the danger the weak mahogany tree poses, asking them to cut it off or be given the opportunity to do so. It was, however, unheeded too by NADMO.
We saw the signs and we reported to the people who matter, but they turned a deaf ear to it. We complained to NADMO, and my sister Mabruka even wrote a letter to them.
One municipal chief executive-elect, Alhaji Nuro Issa Dawana, and the Upper West Regional Director of NADMO, Maxwell Emmanuel Nebe, upon the directive of the Upper West Regional Minister, Lawyer Charles Luonga Pozun, are out to have an initial assessment of the situation.
Looking at it, you can see that the tree was almost collapsing. But what we can do now is to get the assistance of the fire service to help cut off the tree from the structure so that if there is anything we can do, we can look at it and have a full assessment. But per account, we have 9 people that were trapped in the building. But fortunately for us, none of them have been injured, and that we have to thank God that no injury happened.
The immediate measures we'll do, just as he said, we'll engage the fire service, then they will come on board to remove the tree, and we'll ensure that their property inside there are safe. We'll report to the police so that they'll give us some assistance to take care of the premises. Then after that, we'll go back to the office, then assess the situation and see how best we can support them.
The distress is echoed street after street, schools and children's recreational centers. Another mahogany tree crushed and battered 3 container shops and a gym. It also destroyed and downed electric poles, cutting off power supply to some parts of the municipality, including the Upper West Regional Library. The Wana Memorial Institute was also not spared by the windstorm. The fashion department block, storeroom, and some classrooms were ripped off. Hussein Yasser is the vice principal academic for the institute.
This is a fashion department. We have the ICT block. There even some part of our, let's say, the stores. It has been ripped off. And even parts of the dormitory block has equally been taken off. So currently, as we are standing, if the students should report today, we don't even have a place for them to have their practicals. This way, the fashion block, they have their practicals. So just about some 5-4 days, the students will be coming. So when they come, it will be very, very difficult, especially with the fashion students. And the fashion students, as I tell you, they are the greatest. If we look at year 1, the fashion students outnumber about 120. Year 2, they are more than 100. Year 3, they are more than 100. And see what has befallen on us. So we're just praying that we should be able to have immediate support so that we can be able to begin classes immediately they resume.
For the YMCA-elect Alhaji Nura Issa Danwana, it appears to be his baptism of fire.
Yeah, we should be worried because this is a huge loss. This is a school that is already bedeviled with so many problems, especially inadequate infrastructure. So we don't know what will happen should in case school opens, just as he mentioned, in the next 4 days. So try our best and see how best we can support them.
Not more for now. It's helpless, and doling out relief items may take some time.
For now, our stores are empty, that we can stay, but we know that when disasters happen like that, the first thing to do is to be able to mobilize within, and then you look for external effort. That's why we want to have a full assessment. Once we have full assessment, we know there are people that can help. We will reach out to them to see whether they can help us do before our national will come in to help us. But we will, of course, send a report to our national headquarters. But we first have to pool our resources. That's the strength that we look for in the region.
Homes have been destroyed with roofs, doors, and windows blasted off.
This zinc I am currently holding actually is not from this residence. It actually flew over 80 meters away, came and landed at this residence. It really showed the intensity of the windstorm that we experienced right here in the one municipality.
Victims have already started to salvage what they can, but this also revealed the mammoth tax ahead.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
We are taking a short break. When we come back, we have updates on Easter celebrations across the country. Hello, welcome back to the news. President John Mahama says he is confident the Ghanaian economy will recover. Speaking at the Good Friday service of the Lighthouse Chapel International, he called for collective support from all actors, including churches and faith-based organizations, to help drive the nation's turnaround. Citing scripture, the former president affirmed that no matter how difficult the journey, his party remains committed to working towards Ghana's economic revival.
As believers, we know that the story of Christ did not end on the cross. The story continues to the empty tomb, and that gives us hope, not just for today, but for eternity. And it says in Romans 8:11, and I quote, "If the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his spirit who dwells in you." And so let us let the spirit of him who raised Jesus dwell in us, so that it will give life to our mortal bodies. My brothers and sisters in Christ, that same resurrection power lives in all of us. And with that power, we can rise above discouragement, above hardship, and above fear. And so as I speak today to you, not only as a fellow believer, but as a Ghanaian who loves my nation deeply, I believe with all my heart that our dear nation, Ghana, shall rise again. Our economy shall recover. Our youth will find opportunity. Our families will flourish and thrive. But that restoration will require that all of us, government, churches, businesses, communities, work together in unity and in truth.
Now, the winds are just right, the skies are clear, and the excitement is undeniable as the Kuru Paragliding Festival 2025 enters its second day of flights. Ahead of their first ever paragliding experience, several first-timers shared their hopes, fears, and adrenaline-fueled expectations, each ready to take a leap of faith and trust the wind to carry them. My colleague Jacqueline Asmayabwa has more.
Paragliding Festival is in full swing, and the energy at the top of Aduato Mountain is electric. First-timers lined up, excitement, and a few nerves in the air as they prepared for a moment they will never forget. Some first-time paragliders shared their thoughts before taking off.
Well, we're on top of the Aduato Mountain where the paragliding has officially kick-started, and it started about some hours ago. I'm here with a first-timer who's about to paraglide. How are you feeling?
You know what? I'm a little bit scared, but I'm also trying to break that cycle of my fear of flight. So
yeah. But what actually informed your decision to fly today?
Well, I'm actually from Kwewu, and I think the last time I was here was maybe 15 years ago. I was a little girl then, so I didn't do it. So I mean, this time I'm visiting from Canada, and I'm like, you know what? I need to get this thing done once and overall. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Okay, but apart from that, what other expectations do you have for the Kwewu Easter?
Oh, they're chilling. I mean, I'm outside, and I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna be outside. I'm on the streets, you know. Yeah.
Oh, today is my first time, so I hope I can enjoy. And I'm feeling good.
Are you flying today?
Yeah, I'm flying today and with my wife.
Okay. Do you have any expectations ahead of the flying?
Before, I don't have any experience for flying.
You've never, apart from being in the plane?
It's the first time.
Oh, okay. All right. Then wish you all the best. All these young ladies are also flying today. And your name?
Stephanie.
And? Okay, you can kindly speak there. All right. So how do you feel about it? Is this your first time?
Yeah.
You seem nervous.
Yeah.
You're nervous and you're about to fly.
Yeah.
What informed you to fly today? I mean, what informed your decision to come and fly today? You just wanted to fly. Okay, what about you?
I mean, we live just once.
I'll just go. If anything happens, then that's it. But have you ever had this experience before?
My first time.
The first time. I mean, okay. Well, talking about Kwewu in general, how's the experience in Kwewu so far for you?
It's actually really nice. I mean, we got here yesterday, visited a little bit and stuff, and it's really nice. I mean, the Easter festival, it looks quite okay. I'm yet to discover more and try the paragliding.
Sure. From here, where would you be going to?
I guess there's a waterfall, something around.
Yeah, in Kwewu waterfall.
Yeah, I think that one, and then the festival for the evening.
Okay, just stroll through town and all that. What about you? After here?
The same.
The same. Yeah. Are you also going with your sister? She says she only lives one, so that's why she is flying today. Would you also say the same?
Yeah.
But you're not scared. But you were. It looks like you're shaking a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Blake Pelton, one of the experienced pilots at this year's festival, says understanding passengers' emotions is crucial for a successful flight.
This will be the 5th one, so I'm just finished number 4.
Oh, okay, how was it?
It was amazing. I had a great passenger, and that's what I love about coming here is I get to meet all of these people from all over the world.
What actually makes a great passenger, though?
Someone who listens on the launch and the landing and does what we ask them to. That's the biggest thing. And then just people that are relaxed and enjoying the experience and taking it all in. You know?
Usually before you take off, do your passengers, let you in on their fears? Because personally, I'm scared just going down there.
Yeah. Well, as paragliding tandem pilots, we learn to develop skills to read people. And sometimes people are really, really nervous, but they don't want to say so. So I'll always check in with them and just remind them that it's perfectly natural to be a little bit nervous. 95% of my passengers are nervous before the takeoff because they don't know quite what to expect. But once you get in the air, almost everybody's like, oh, this is peaceful, this is calm, this is easy. So yeah.
So how long do you spend in the skies?
It depends on what conditions we have at that moment. So it evolves throughout the day. So in the beginning of the day, there's not much lift, not much thermals. Then middle of the day, we start getting some lift because there's heating, the ground is heating, and there's some rising bubbles of air we call thermals. And then towards sunset, the lift kind of goes away again.
The Kwewu Paragliding Festival isn't just about the flight. It's about pushing limits, making memories, and seeing Ghana from a whole different perspective. So whether you're ready to glide or just soak in the views, one thing is for sure, the magic at Kwewu this Easter is truly sky high. Reporting from Aduato Mountain, I'm Jacqueline and Sama Yaboa.
That looks like fun. Well, from the eastern region to the Ashanti region, the Ashanti Fest, instituted to mark Easter in the Ashanti region, has entered its final lap. Filled with entertainment activities, already a boxing night, football games, and an electrifying Jama competition have been held to the satisfaction of many. This weekend will host cinema experiences, a musical concert, a fun trip to Lake Busumtre. Nanaya Ojima has been monitoring some of the activities and filed this report.
According to the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Davis, the idea to stage a festival was conceived after a request from some youth at a cleanup exercise. On social media, the minister requested ideas to sustain the event for 2 weeks.
The whole concept of the Ashanti Festival is to bring up our various sectors, showcase what we have as a region, and see how best we'll be able to promote intersectorial support for each other.
Series of events were therefore scheduled for the 10-day event in the region. Dr. Frank Davis details the event so far.
On the first day, we took specific interest in activities in sanitation and city greening. On that same first day, we did sports, i.e. football and boxing. On the third day, we held a series of activities that bordered on education, science, and technology.
At the food fair and bazaar, a variety of indigenous Ashanti food were on display, attracting many patrons within the city. It offered the stage for other cultures to promote their cuisine. The Ghanaian traditional fabrics and locally manufactured clothing featured prominently at the event grounds. Inmates of Kumasi Central Prisons were not left out of the event as the minister led a medical screening. A blood donation exercise was featured alongside the screening exercise that was also opened to the public. The program, sponsored by telecommunication giants MTN, was heavily patronized by Kumasi residents. Some persons present at the event shared their opinions on the celebration so far.
With the 2025 Ashanti Fest, it has been so unique. Looking at some of the activities that took place about 2 or 3 days ago, you see the organizers, so far they've been excellent.
It brings that sense of belongingness. And we all know, FDA, we have what we call the Buy Ghana, Love Ghana. So Ashanti Fest even fuses as part of it that we should buy what we own or what we produce also in Ghana. And I think it is one of the slogans of Ashanti Fest. When they say Ashanti Fest, they say yes, we yes.
Okay, Lake Nadia say one baby away serious. Lake no one baby because young Kasamian Kasamoto to Nayako no Marco here and Nema and I say dear regional minister because
a trip to Lake Busumtre and Kids Festival will be held on Easter Friday to usher in the weekend. Rich traditional artifacts will also feature on Saturday at a Kente Festival and wood carving event. The region's dominance in the movie industry will be fused in the Ashanti Fest activities. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
You're watching Joy Newsroom, taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. One more story before we go. The Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana has called on private healthcare providers across the country to unite in addressing key health issues and strengthening the sector's role in national healthcare delivery. The call was made during the 3rd General Meeting of the Volta and OT Regional Chapter and at the 5th Annual General Conference.
A welcome address by the chapter chairperson, Mrs. Agnes Mousing Cancer, noted that the association is ready to collaborate, share knowledge, and to take bold steps in transforming healthcare access and quality in the various communities.
The private health sector continues to play a pivotal role in healthcare delivery, often reaching where healthcare cannot. Yet, for too long, our country has not been fully harnessed or supported. With the formation and expansion of FAO, we now have a stronger platform to engage with policymakers. improve service standards, and attract investments and innovations into our sector. As the regional chairperson, I am proud to say that the Volta-Otin regions are ready to embrace these opportunities. We are ready to collaborate, to share knowledge, and to take bold steps in transforming healthcare access and quality in our communities.
In a keynote address, the National Vice President, Mr. Samuel Boate, urged all private facilities in the country to have a unified front for a better health service delivery in the country.
And now we've seen that the private sector, we are the next to Ghana Health Service. Charge how many percent? We contribute 40.2 to our nation's healthcare. Charge is only 6%. All right? What is our charge is moving to? Because we have not come together to work as one, and charge will be able to put themselves together, government sees them as working than us. But if we take only voter region alone, the facilities here are better than the whole charge for facilities across the country. Two of us. Two. But what are we doing? We are doing individual work. That will never help. You can't. You can't meet it. You can't meet the standards of HIFRA, NHI, and Co. You can't. You alone, you can't. So it is better we come together as a group. We think together as a group.
The operations manager of the National Health Insurance Authority, Emmanuel Avinu, said private health care provides quality healthcare delivery which cannot be overemphasized.
Your contributions in the provision of quality healthcare services cannot be overemphasized. Your roles in the health sector development in Ghana and globally is very critical. So therefore, if we want to do it, let us do it well, to leave behind a good legacy for us to become reference points for the generations yet unborn.
The association also launched the 5th Annual General Conference to be held between 14th to 18th October 2025 at the Chances Hotel. I visited the Joy News Hall.
And that's the Joy News. Thanks for watching. There is more news as always on our website, myjoyonline.com. Enjoy the rest of your Easter break.